How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a very different type of video to normal. It's not your average top 5 and it's not a pointless polo project video. This week I've decided to talk you through a little bit about my car history and a little bit about my car future. As you might expect during the Christmas period, as you can see by my Christmas tree right here, it's been much more busy, everyone's much more family oriented, and I've also been a bit ill recently, so rather than put myself through the stress of making a top 5 video, I thought I would actually just chat to you guys and talk to you about my history. So let's just get straight into it. I was born into a car family. My dad is a car mechanic, and when I was born, I think he already owned his Renault 5 Maxi Turbo, which he pretty much built from the ground up. It's a Group B rally car putting out around 280 to 300 brake horsepower, depending on whether it's mapped and sort of tuned correctly. But yeah, I've always been around that and always been going to displays with him, with the car, to Castle Combe, to Rally Day, all those kind of things. And so that's been a key part of my life and what got me into cars in the first place. In addition to that, he actually bought an old Audi Quattro, I believe it was like 1983, 84, 85, can't remember exactly, but it was a long wheelbase, and he bought it in poor condition and he fixed up the car as a project and turned it from white to blue and all sorts, and it was absolutely beautiful. He used to come collect me from school in it and sort of do handbrake turns and power slides and all that kind of nonsense. That was when I was around 8 or 9 years old that he got the car, and I think he sold it when I was about 12 or 13. And so outside of that, I'd reached kind of a juncture where it was like, do I do go-karting or do I do motocross? So I've always been in and around motorsports. We chose motocross because it's the cheaper of the two, basically. And yeah, that's been a key part of keeping me involved in motorsports. And obviously I've been a huge F1 fan my whole life, a big WRC fan. So I've just been brought up around cars. Which might then surprise you that I didn't actually pass my driving test when I was 17 years old. I faffed around and just didn't do my lessons and all that kind of stuff. And when I was 18 was when I actually decided to get into a car and start driving. I wanted to do it beforehand, I just didn't get the chance. So I started learning my dad's 106, and then I got into my driving instructor's Vauxhall Corsa, passed my test first time, as you do, and then went on to drive my first car about a month or two later, which was a Skoda Fabia Estate, which was the best first car you could possibly imagine. At first, my friends thought it was a bit of a weird first car to buy, which is fair enough, it's a bit of a granddad car, but it was perfect. I could fit all of my possessions in that car at any one time, and it had 10 more horsepower than my Polo, and it was just such a good car. It was also a very reliable car. Other than the coil packs going, I've still got the first coil pack that ever went in the car, and other than that, I had a catalytic converter failure. The cap broke and blocked up and then meant the car just couldn't get any power, so then we basically just removed the cat and let the car drive around free, which is probably bad for pollution, but it worked, so there we go. And then the unfortunate day came where the car died, which was I was driving down the A1 and ended up in a bush because of my brakes failing, which you can see a whole video on. I did a whole trip around Europe, did sort of 2,536 miles I think in total. Came back, everything seemed fine, had an issue with the brakes, and there I was in a bush with the car being written off, which obviously sucked. And a lot of people asked me why I bought the Polo, and I didn't really have much choice is why I bought the Polo. I was going to university sort of less than a week after that happened, and I needed a car that I hadn't really been saving for in an immediate sort of lead time, so I bought the Polo without even seeing the car for 400 quid, and there it is, got it today, and it's utterly perfect. Obviously at first when I got the car I wasn't actually that into it. There were key things that I didn't really like about it. The headlights I didn't really like. It's much slower than the Skoda for some reason, much less space as you would expect. It's a smaller car, but ultimately you grow to love these things, and yes, I love my Polo and I'll keep it for the foreseeable future and do the pointless Polo projects, take around the Nürburgring, and then we'll see what happens from there. But yeah, that's my car history so far, and then let's talk about my car future. So I have been thinking about buying a new car for years now, and if you ask any of my friends, they will tell you that I'm just chatting nonsense because I always talk about buying a new car and I never actually pull the trigger and do it. But the cars I've been looking at in particular, and the ones that I've kind of narrowed my huge list down to, are the ones I'm going to share with you right now, so let's go through those. Number one, I'm looking at the Porsche 987 Cayman S, which I just think is such a nice car. I'm growing to absolutely love the Porsche brand. They're appreciating in my brain like a fine wine, and they are just perfect. Number two for me would be the Z4 Coupe, preferably the Z4 M Coupe, but if I could just get a Z4 3-litre Coupe, I'd be very happy with that. It's one of my favourite looking two-seater sports cars on the planet. It's so sort of beefy and muscly, such a good car. I really want to get my hands on one of those at some point in my life. And I think they're a really good investment opportunity because they're not really as frequently spotted on the roads as a Roadster is, and you saw what happened to the Z3 Coupe, so maybe the same could happen to the Z4 M Coupe. please. The third car I'm looking at is actually the Smart Brabus Roadster, which I know is a strange option, but it's such a good looking little car. And on top of that, I just think that a manual swap was so needed for that car. I'll talk a little bit more about the history of the car in probably a different video at another point in time, but I just think that car is so cool. And it's weird because I don't really like any other Smarts. That's literally the one Smart that I particularly like. Another car I'm quite interested in personally is the E93 BMW. Yes, I know it's never sunny in the UK, but I think the convertible 3 Series just looks so good. Lovely shape and such a cool car to own, particularly if you can get it in manual. My friend has a 320i Coupe. I think that's super nice. Such a good looking car. I'll definitely get on the channel at some point, but I would quite like to go for maybe a 335 or a 330i, one of the two. That would be the ideal for me. And then one other car that I'm looking at is the TTS, which I think is really cool, but the TTRS is coming down in price, so maybe I'd have to go for that one, and that's the Mark II, by the way. So yeah, those are the main cars I'm looking at, but I'm also looking at a few classic cars, well, two in particular. One of them is the BMW E30, the old 3 Series, which I think is, again, a really nice looking car, and the convertible in particular would just be so cool to own. Get a good interior on it and you'd just be rolling around on a sunny day looking super cool. And then the other one I'm looking at is the Lancia Monte Carlo, which are just, again, great looking, great sounding, and also a car that you just never really spot on the roads here in the UK, and I think it has a lot of potential to look really cool. And I'm a big fan of the 037, and this is kind of like the baby brother or whatever to the 037, so there you go. So those are the main cars that I'm thinking about, and the ones that I would potentially look to buy in sort of the next year or so, just depending on how finances go and life goes and all that great stuff. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are of those cars and whether you think they're good or bad, or if you've ever owned one, give me some insights into what they're like to own. But yes, I also asked you guys for some questions just to talk through to add some time to the video. No, I'm just joking. I wanted to answer some questions from you guys because I get so many good questions from you lot and I don't really get to sort of give them out openly, and I thought this is a good environment for you to do it, so let's do it. I asked on YouTube and Instagram, so let's go and find them. Right, so let's get through all of these. So the first one is, am I considering modifying the suspension on my Polo? Yes, I will be getting some coilovers. I was looking at the JOM Blue Line ones, or whatever they're called, but at the same time I'd quite like to get a hold of the GTI's suspension and just shove that on the car instead, just because I kind of trust the OEM parts a little bit more. If you guys have any other sort of history with the JOMs or with any other coilovers that you've had on a Polo, just let me know and I'll have a look at them. Did I use Plasti Dip to do my badges or wheels? Yeah, I did Plasti Dip both of them, but it wasn't Plasti Dip, it was the little Halford spray thing. They last really well actually. I'm quite surprised at how good that stuff actually works. So yeah, I'm not actually sponsored by Halfords or anything. That would be insane if I was, but yeah, that stuff really does work. It's like a tenner, so it's worth it. It's worth sort of investing in. How long have I been driving and how many attempts did it take for me to pass my theory and practical? First time on theory, first time on practical, as I said, and I've been driving for 4 years, nearly 5 years now, so driving since 2014. Am I going to buy a new car? Well, hopefully that's been answered in this video. It says, for example, a Leon or one of the top hatchbacks. I don't think I want another hatchback. I think I want a sports car next. I do like the hatchbacks, and I would potentially look to maybe lease or finance one in the future when I'm in a better financial situation. But right now, I've had my fill of hatchbacks and I want to get a sports car. Happy Christmas from the Geordie Tiger. Thank you very much. I know you've been on the channel for ages, so thanks for that. Put on some antlers and red nose from Tolly T. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have those things at the moment, but if I did, I would definitely throw them on. Hopefully the Christmas tree does enough. So there we go, sorry about that. Audi S3 or Ibiza FR? Good question. I really like the Boccanegra. I think it's really nice. I probably brutalized that word, so sorry. But for me, because I'm a big Audi fan, it would have to be the S3. I'd love an RS3, but the S3 just is such a nice car. 4-wheel drive, it bangs. Why do I still drive a car like this after so many years of driving? Fair question. Hopefully it's been answered in this video, but if it hasn't, I drive it because it sort of came to me out of chance. And also, I think it'd be super cool to be a very highly subscribed YouTuber in the future that still drives a £400 Polo. Good one from Safwan Rahman. Sorry if I said your name wrong, but I know you've been around the channel for ages. What is your realistic dream car? What does realistic mean? Because in my head, my dream car is either the Ferrari Enzo or the Mercedes 300 SL, because they are just utterly beautiful cars. But if we're talking realistic, I think maybe I really like the RS6. I know that's a really boring option, but I think it's a super nice car. Oh, I honestly don't know what my dream car is. I like way too many cars, hence I started this channel, Cars with JB. I really like a lot of cars, and making me choose one that would be my dream in a realistic sort of sense would be so difficult. I really like the RS6 or the RS7 Performance. Oh, what a car. Best affordable cars to convert to rally or rallycross. I mean, I'm assuming you want me to make that as a video, but in terms of cars that are convertible to that, I would just go for an Impreza or a Evo, because they're literally built for it. And this is a good question as well. Would I ever buy another 1.2 Skoda Estate again? Almost definitely. I'd love to buy another one. I've still actually got the plates from my old Skoda. I'd love to put those onto a new Skoda and drive it around at some point, but that'll be way in the future when I've got money to burn and I just want to buy an old Skoda Estate just for the memes and for the old time's sake, you know what I mean? Let's move on to the Instagram questions, if I've even got any. I haven't even looked. Any car meets in the future? Absolutely. I want to have a Polo meetup at some point, and then just a general meetup, so that if any of you guys are interested in coming and having a chat about cars, more than down for that. That'd be super cool. We going Nando's tomorrow? Yeah, yes we are. When's the next Pointless Polo project video? As soon as I can get some light to actually work on the car. I've actually got some bits for the car that I want to put on, and I can put them on at any time, but it's not about putting them on, it's about putting them on when I've got some light to actually record it and put it on for YouTube. So yeah, interesting, but I'm gonna get those videos out, trust me. How long do I plan on keeping the Polo? Very good question. I don't know. After I've done the Nürburgring, I'll reassess my situation with the car. I want to try and keep it for a longer period of time. It's been a big part of the channel. As I said, I'd like to get to like a lot of subscribers and stuff with the Polo, so that would be a goal. And finally, the last question I have, would I ever consider buying a Twingo RS? I think the Twingo RS is actually a really nice car. Like, I love how sort of big and flared the wheel arches are, and I think it's a really nice car. My problem is that I much prefer the Clio RS, particularly the sort of the 200 and the 197, but my biggest problem is that I really like the Clio V6, and if I could ever own a Clio V6, that would be the goal. Twingo RS is cool, but I think maybe I'm past that now as a 23-year-old. Maybe I can move on to a Clio RS, or at some point get my hands on a Clio V6. That would be sick. So yeah, hopefully this has been a slightly interesting video for some of you guys. I know that it's a bit impromptu and it's not a top 5 and it's not a Pointless Polo project video. It's just a kind of in the middle mesh of cars and whatever. But hopefully you've enjoyed just hearing a little bit more about my history in cars, why I like making car videos in terms of like my context for cars, and a little bit more about the potential future in terms of cars that I should buy. Let me know in the comments if you think there are any other cars that I should consider, anything that I should just, I don't know, be aware of when it comes to buying the cars that I've mentioned so far. I know that the Lance here would absolutely rinse my wallet, as would probably all the other ones, but we'll see. As always, remember to like and subscribe, all that great stuff. But thank you very much for watching. Have an incredible Christmas. You'll get another top 5 video next week because I'll have the time to actually do it. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Listen.